because it's a big tract of land, has a lot of history. I'm really glad they're doing something with it.
People are positive about what we're doing here, which has caused other developments to kind of start moving even faster.
We estimate that these studios will create thousands of jobs for New Jersey residents, billions of dollars of economic output, and many cultural benefits for the region and for the state.
We extended these credits to 2039 with the explicit statement that this is not about us. This is about generations to come.
Well, the exodus of Hollywood is well underway as we're hearing that there are studios opening up here, right here in the East Coast, here in New York, and way over on in our neighbors over in New Jersey. As Netflix broke ground in the past week on a new $900 million movie studio at a former Army base. That's right, Netflix is moving into New Jersey. But before we start, remember, comment, like, share, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We really do appreciate that. We have a lot of content coming up. You know, we're just coming out of Memorial Day to that point. So we're working on that. June will be a big month for us as we're making a return. And of course, the beginning of Madman with the Show Summer Edition. So, Netflix. They're breaking ground on the news on there. We're going to read this off the New York Post. Netflix breaks ground on a $900 million movie studio at former Army base in New Jersey. Netflix officially broke ground on a sprawling new $900 million production hub in central New Jersey, with more than a third of the funding coming from tax credit provided by the Garden State. Netflix Studios Fort Monmouth will transform a long-abandoned U.S. Army base into a 500,000 square foot facility housing sound stages, a backlot, production studios, suites, and offices. The deal will build the new campus in Edentown, marking a significant East Coast expansion for the video streaming giant, was boosted by a $387 million in tax credits, according to state officials. The New Jersey Film and Digital Media tax credits offer up to 35% for production expenses and up to 40% for digital post-production. Figures that Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos cited as critical to the company's investment. California's status as the nation's film hub has eroded in recent years as studios have opted to film movies in lower tax locales such as Georgia and the United Kingdom. We're kicking California's ass, State Senator Declan O'Scanlan told The Hollywood Reporter, underscoring New Jersey's aggressive push to attract film and television production. O'Scanlan, whose districts includes the Netflix site, admitted he was initially skeptical of the tax credit program. He then delivered a rare political confession. I was wrong. Sardano, speaking from a stage on the rain-soaked site, described the project as both a passion and a business decision. I was in love with the idea from the very first conversation with Governor Phil Murphy, Sardano said. Sardano added that the company expects that these studios will create thousands of jobs for New York residents, billions of dollars of economic output, and many cultural benefits for the region and for the state. Though born in the Garden State, Sardanos emphasized that decisions to build there was based on economics, not sentimentality. According to an April report by Production Pro, New Jersey ranks 6th in the U.S. for film and TV production, with $536 million in spending over the past year, trailing only California, New York, Illinois, New Mexico, and Georgia. Murphy, who was seated in a Netflix-branded director's chair during the ceremony, called the state's film initiative program the single best in the entire country. He noted that the program has already extended through June 30th of 2039. This is not about us, Murphy said. This is about generations to come. Netflix is already $7 productions filming in New Jersey and expected to significantly ramp up activity once the Fort Monmouth facility is completed, projected to be in 2028. Monmouth County Commissioner Director Thomas Armone promised that the company is streamlined permitted process. We will make this easy for you, Armand said, referencing the permitting gridlock that has plagued film productions in California. And this is straight out. This is Hollywood East. Now you may yourself, well, that includes Georgia, probably. No, I consider that Hollywood South. You have Hollywood South, which is everything below Virginia, which include Georgia and Florida, which hopefully they'll be streamlining Florida once again. But here in New York and New Jersey, now we have Netflix and we also have Lionsgate that have production studios on both ends. New York has Lionsgate Studios opening up here and also in New Jersey as well. And that's a good thing. And Netflix has 7 productions running right now. They're going to ramp it up even more. New York, New Jersey has been a big deal when it comes to production. We are still producing TV shows here in New York. Shows like Law and Order, that's still on there. There was a point that was sending a lot of stuff to Canada. Canada is not New York, to that point. They can sit there and they're filming stuff. They said, hey, yeah, we're in New York. But actually, you're filming it in Canada. And United Kingdom is gone into that point as well. But I'm seeing more to the point, especially with this administration, that they're going to pull back a lot of productions and they're going to bring it to Hollywood East itself. This has been a long time coming. To the point. I myself, back in the 90s, I had moved down to Florida because I saw that there was production work coming to Florida, which it was. I took advantage of that situation. I did work with a couple of companies, but it didn't fare out too well for me. That's why I returned back to New York, and brought back Cuticast with me to NYC because, this is where it is to be. And I'm going to do my darn best to keep this alive here. This is where I started. This is where I began here back years ago in my teens, in high school. I learned the trade. I did the trade school on there, built up somewhat a small little production situation on there. But now I want to expand further and bring back the same type of productions we used to do back in the 80s and 90s. I want that kind of a studio production. The independent producer, the independent shows, not the big corporate thing, like everyone does. There are a lot of us in this sphere that are trying to build up some good programming. If you go to YouTube, you go to Rumble, there are some good content creators out there. But the thing about it is, we need to start to focus and bring it all together because, YouTube is not going to be pushing this kind of content all the time. They're not going to be doing this. Rumble is doing the right thing. But, when it comes to YouTube, they're trying to focus more on the big companies itself, the big news media outlets out there. But the thing about it is, who's out there in the ratings doing better than the networks itself? The content creators. People like Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, Nerdrotic, Geeks and Gamers, many others that are outscoring even some of the top networks out there, CNN, MSNBC, and all that. The viewership is through the roof on there. But the thing about it is, you have other smaller content creators like ourselves here at Cuticast that basically are not being pushed forward, that they're not being pulled into the algorithm. There are a couple of videos that, I have jumped up, but then suddenly it gets cut off at one point. I get the viewership, and then suddenly, poof, it's gone. And then it shows up again later on. What's going on there? These are the questions YouTube refuses to give answers to. to the point. When it comes to criticizing it, throwing a content, those illegal content copyright infringements on there, which basically is fair use, which I'm still working on several of them right now, trying to get those copyrights removed. This is to the point. We use a small segment and we talk like I'm talking right now to you. And that basically they don't want to talk about. That basically, it's like, we used it right. We used it correctly within the law. But, you still flagged us. But this is, getting back to Netflix and all that. This is a good thing, especially now that Netflix is bought into Sesame Street itself with Sesame Street Workshop. My question, now that Netflix is doing this, are they going to offer them some space? I know Netflix, Sesame Workplace is starting to phase down. In other words, looking for a smaller location, studio productions on there, because basically, they're going to be ramping back a bit. I know they're going to be losing a lot of people that works with them on there. But hey, listen, we'll see on that. But all in all, Hollywood West is losing its luster. It's not the way it used to be. Hopefully we'll get some good shows out of this from Netflix. So comment, let me know your thoughts about this. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye now.